It's not more thinking that will save you, but knowing. A silent knowing that rises only when the ego surrenders to the unknown. The modern mind is like a bird trapped beneath a glass dome, wings wide open endlessly, beating against the air of assumptions and schedules. The blood doesn't come from the world, it leaks from the endless effort to control it. If you're an American living amidst notifications, spreadsheets, and back-to-back meetings, you know this feeling. We script every scene, but forget to live the one unfolding right now. Let's name the real antagonist. Overthinking is not deep thinking. It is a desperate attempt to cram the infinite into the drawers of reason. In Jung's language, this is when the ego wears the persona too long, exiling vital instincts into the shadow, rupturing the axis between ego and self. Nighttime dreams then arrive as compensation because by day we've held the reins too tightly. Unlike healthy reflection, which knows when to pause and listen, overthinking is a closed loop. The more certainty we chase, the further we drift from the self. If you've ever stayed up all night trying to plan for every possible outcome, maybe what you fear isn't the future, but the abyss that opens when you finally stop trying to control it. Here's the good news. Your mind doesn't need to be conquered. It needs to be recontracted with the sacred. When we learn to think symbolically, to hold an image gently in the imagination, to let it breathe instead of dissecting it, we shift from domination to dialogue. And something real happens. The body softens. The inner voice no longer screams. Our boundaries become clear. The benefit isn't a perfect life, but a powerful serenity, the ability to know when to use logos, logic to structure, and when to invite Eros connection to warm the soul. This is an invitation to return, not by fleeing anxiety, but by walking through it as though it were a threshold. Let's begin with a short ritual, safe for all. Pause for 30 seconds. Breathe in for 4, hold for 6, exhale for 8. Place a hand over your heart and gently ask, what is this thought trying to protect? Don't answer right away. Wait until a small image emerges, a tightening rope, a cracked mirror, a dark wave. Note 3 bodily sensations: heat, tension, heartbeat. When you finish, touch an anchoring object, a ring, a bracelet, and whisper to yourself. The ritual is complete. And if you're experiencing intense symptoms, persistent panic, suicidal thoughts, flashbacks, this is the moment to reach out to a trauma-informed professional. This content is not a substitute for therapy. In this video, you'll discover the clear difference between overthinking and healthy self-reflection so you stop blaming yourself. A simplified Jungian map: ego, persona, shadow, anima, animus, self to guide beginners. A 7-step protocol to symbolize anxieties short enough to do at night. 2 foundational somatic tools: 90-second body scan and 4-6-8 breathing to make your body a harbor, not a battlefield. Real-life examples from meetings to love to creativity, where we practice the art of holding tension without breaking. If these words made you pause, stay, because in the next section we'll begin Idea 1 of the body. Why overthinking is the ego's control strategy, how it silences the unconscious, and how to reopen that door gently but firmly. This path does not rise into the tower of reason. It descends into the place where symbols are waiting to be named. Overthinking as the ego's control strategy and why it mutes the voice of the unconscious. When we say I think too much, we often assume it means we're being smarter, more careful. In Jung's language, most of those loops are not deep thinking. They're the ego's control strategy, a defensive reflex that drags everything ambiguous into the floodlights of reason. The ego puts on the persona. I'm fine, I'm professional, I always know what I'm doing, and pushes unfit feelings into the shadow. The more we force clarity, the farther we drift from the self, the deeper center, where life self-regulates through instinct and symbol. Overthinking isn't just exhausting, it's a rupture in the ego-self axis. Ego shouts, the unconscious whispers, and eventually all we can hear is our own noise. What part of you is trying to sound confident while secretly starving for contact with your deeper center? Make a clean distinction. Healthy reflection is like standing before a mirror. In soft light, you look, breathe, register, then take one small action. Overthinking is like blasting high beams into your own eyes. You squint and blink, but nothing gets clearer. In Jungian psychology, dreams have a compensatory function. They balance what we deny in daylight. Tight control by day, free-fall dreams by night. Suppressed anger by day, chased dreams by night. A perfect performance by day, a naked on-stage dream at night. That's not the brain being silly. It's the unconscious sending symbolic notes. Stop splitting hairs. Listen to the images. What image has been repeating for you lately? Deeper down, overthinking is often triggered by complexes, emotional knots formed early. An unanswered email can wake the inner critic's shadow animus hissing, "You're not enough." A small mistake can activate the inner devouring mother. Don't err or be swallowed. When a complex surges, the ego reflexively seizes control, planning, forecasting risk, combing details, not because we're bad, but because we're afraid. Yet the tighter we grip, the more we're consumed by the horror image we created. The Ouroboros bites its own tail and eats our life force. What fear is your planning, trying to pacify? Everyday example number 1. American office, Monday stand-up. You have an idea, but fear pushback. Before the meeting, your mind runs simulations. If the boss asks A, I'll say B. If coworker C frowns, they must think I'm dumb. 10 tabs open to prepare. In the room, you go quiet, then beat yourself up on the way home. Here, the perfect employee persona sits on a shadow piece, anger at being cut off, sadness at not being seen. A complex gets poked. Safety lives in silence. Overthinking flares to shield you from social risk at the price of your voice. If you paused for one breath, perhaps an image would surface, a neck strangled by a too tight tie. The image speaks, loosen one notch. Tiny act in waking life. Give me 30 seconds to land this thought. What would your one-notch looser sentence be today? Everyday example number 2, dating and texting after a good night out. Their reply is slow. You start investigating, reread the chat, analyze every emoji, poll 3 friends. Here, overthinking is the wall the ego builds to avoid the sting of abandonment, but the wall becomes your cell. In Jung's terms, the persona that wants to be lovable blends with the shadow's small anger and need for reassurance. A symbolic gesture, hand to chest, 4-6-8 breath, asking, what is this thought protecting, can invite an image, a child at a dark doorway. It doesn't need analysis. It needs a hand to hold. Small acts send a brief, honest text with a boundary. I'm going offline early tonight. Let's talk tomorrow. Logo serving eros, reason, serving connection. Which boundary would feel kind and clear to send? Everyday's example number 3, creativity and perfection. You're a designer/writer-engineer. Each new project starts with more sources, more references, a refined outline, but very little actual writing or code. Here, the hunger for control wears the mask of preparation. The persona of discerning author that shoves into the shadow a fear of making something mediocre, of being judged. Let a symbol answer instead of a perfect result. Imagine the first draft as kindling its duty is not to be beautiful, but to start the fire. Small act. Write an intentionally ugly draft for 15 minutes. When the ego steps back, the self begins to self-regulate. Ideas arrive not from force, but from participation. What would your 15-minute ugly draft look like tonight? Here's the mechanism by which the unconscious goes silent. Overthinking keeps asking the wrong class of question, demanding hard data from realities that are symbolic. It's like asking, what percentage is this song correct? The question kills the music. As we pour psychic energy into projection and prevention, the field of attention narrows, dreams fade, synchronicities go unnoticed. The body sends signals racing heart-tense muscles that we mislabel as errors. Jung doesn't ask us to toss reason. He invites a reordering logos beside Eros, not on the throne in Eros's place. Overthinking is logos usurping power counselor turned tyrant. Where could logos move from ruler back to ally in your week? To make this usable right now, a pocket Jung map for your imagination. A 5-story house front door is persona. Living floor is ego. Dark room is shadow. The library is anima, anima's source of meaning boundaries. At the still center is the self. A quiet mandala. When overthinking spikes, picture yourself pacing ego's hallway, then walk back to the middle of the house. A quick checklist. Healthy reflection ends with one small action within 24 hours. Overthinking ends with a fresh question. Which one did you do today? Red flags for professional help. Prolonged panic. Severe obsession, compulsion thoughts of self-harm or harm to others. This isn't weakness. Seek trauma-informed care. Who could you reach out to this week if those show up? 2 somatic gestures to quiet ego. So symbols can speak a 90-second body scan, forehead, shoulders, chest, belly, thighs, calves, feet, just name. Heat, tension in a 4-6-8 breath, inhale. 4 hold, 6 exhale. 8 in for 3 rounds. End by touching an anchor object, ring bracelet, as a ritual seal to close the inner conversation. Which anchor object will you choose? Why community matters. Complexes live in relationship. They sprout in early interactions and transform in safe ones. In the comments, name one symbol for your overthinking rope clock, cracked mirror, and one small action you'll take in the next 24 hours to seat Eros beside Logos, e.g. Ask for 30 seconds to finish my thought in the meeting, or write an ugly draft for 15 minutes. We won't analyze each other. We will witness each other, and that witnessing is temenos, a sacred space where the ego learns to lower its voice. What symbol and action are you offering? Looking back, you'll see overthinking doesn't make you bad. It's been protecting something delicate. If we thank the guard and invite him to sip some tea, he'll admit he's afraid of the dark. Then instead of blasting the floodlight, we light a symbolic candle. A candle doesn't erase the night, but it shows the path. That's the close of part 1. Recognize overthinking as the ego's control strategy, hear the fear beneath it, and rebuild the ego self-bridge through small acts wrapped in simple ritual. In part 2, we'll descend into practice, how to think in symbols safely to invite images, hold them in dialogue without being swallowed, so a true path opens from the shadow's dark room. What image will you bring with you to part 2? Imagine you're standing at the mouth of an ancient stone staircase. Wind rises from the earth, carrying the scent of moss and the whisper of unnamed things. Going down isn't falling into chaos. It's a rite of return to the place where the soul speaks its own language. In part 1, we saw overthinking as the ego's strategy of control. Now I'm inviting you one step deeper. Learn to think in symbols and begin a gentle descent ritual. Orderly, safe, simple enough to practice in a New York apartment or a quiet Oregon home. The miracle isn't quick answers. It's how we build a little inner sanctuary where images emerge on their own, alive, intelligent in their own way. What would change if you gave your psyche a quiet room to speak? First, we need a temenos, a sacred container. It isn't a church. It can be a corner of your desk with a small handle, a bracelet as an anchor, a notebook. Promise yourself you'll stay only 15 minutes, time limits. Reassure the ego it won't be swallowed. Sit upright, breathe 4-6-8 for 3 rounds. Hand on chest, ask, is there an image that wants to come? Don't try hard, just wait. Often something small arrives, like a loose thread, a rusted key, a stare, a single drop of water. Describe it instead of analyzing it. What's the material, the temperature, the pace of its movement? When the image has filled the frame, whisper a question. What are you here to protect? What do you need me to do in the next 24 hours? Write the first answer down verbatim. Even if it seems silly, the language of symbol is childlike and honest. It doesn't bother to justify. Can you let description come before interpretation? Some people say I only feel emptiness. Let the emptiness become the image, maybe a white room, maybe a sea of fog. Study its edges. At the rim of emptiness, something very small often appears, a safety pin, a footprint. Overthinking demands we solve the riddle immediately. Descent teaches us to stay with the image until warmth arrives. If you can remain for 3 minutes, you'll notice your body shifts, shoulders drop, belly softens. That's the self arriving. What happens in you if you give it 3 unhurried minutes? Now bring this into busy American life. You're a night shift nurse in Texas. Between 2 patients, anxiety spikes as a machine alarm beeps. You can't run a long ritual, but you can think symbolically for 10 seconds. Call in the image. Harbor a wooden piling, a boat tied fast. Touch the pen in your pocket like you're touching the mooring post. Whisper anchor. Logos keeps you moving. Orders done, vitals checked. But Eros warms. You're in relationship with yourself, and so you're steadier with your patient. What's your 10-second anchor when the alarm sounds? You're a student in Boston about to present. Overthinking urges 10 more tabs so you won't mess up. Close them all. Stand. Walk 3 slow steps as if descending a symbolic stair. Call in the guide's shoes, the heels worn smooth, a perfect fit. Slip them on in imagination. Say to the image, walk beside me. You're not begging for a miracle. You are modestly changing state so the symbol can accompany you. Whose shoes do you need to borrow for the next hour? To keep descent safe, use this 7-point time and space boundaries, 10-15 minutes. Warm light, phone on silent. Downshift the body, 4-6-8 breathing. A 90-second body scan name, heat tightness. Touch your anchor object. Invite the image, ask only. What image wants to come? Describe felt sense 3 details about sensations in your body as the image appears. Brief dialogue. 1 unquestion. What are you protecting? Then write the very first line you hear. A 24-hour microact, 1 small real-world step, make a call, book an appointment, say 1 complete sentence in the meeting. Close the ritual, say clearly, we're done, blow out the candle, place your hand on the anchor. If you feel trauma activation, flashbacks, or self-harm thoughts, stop. Drink water, take a short walk, and reach out to a qualified professional. This ritual does not replace therapy. What tiny step could carry the image into your next day? A common snag is the ego's fear of being tricked. What if I'm just making it up in Jungian work? Even a made-up image has value. Our inventions are mixed from the unconscious storehouse. What we avoid is forcing meaning too fast. Dissent isn't hunting the right answer. It's learning to hear the voice of images. When a symbol has ripened, it suggests meaning through participation. You feel drawn to a small, finite, tangible act. Say you dream of a spiral staircase. The next morning, you feel like tidying your desk in a slow circle from left to right. Outsiders might laugh, but for you, that's soul language becoming gesture. Where might your hands act out what your dream is telling you? 2 short stories make this vivid. A single father in California is stuck. His teenage son has shut the door on words. Night after night, he mutters, what can I say to make him open up, overthinking to exhaustion? In Dissent, he sees a broken bridge over a creek. He doesn't analyze bridge equals communication. He asks, what do you need as silence then? An image of a plank. Next day's microact, no interrogation. He sits beside his son for 10 quiet minutes and places a plank between them, a mug of cocoa. 3 days later, the boy takes a sip and asks a small question about school. The symbol did its work. If your bridge is broken, what's 1 plank you could lay today? A software engineer in Seattle is haunted by a bug that won't reproduce. That night, he sees a whale diving deep, a net tangled on its back. In the morning, instead of burning more hours in blind debugging, he tells the team, let's rewrite the test case simpler, less net. That reveals the culprit, a peripheral configuration. The fix isn't just smarter, it's softer, less net. Logos returns to its rightful role to serve, not dominate. Where could less net free what's moving beneath the surface? To enrich the dissent, keep a few practices. Discernment distinguishes strong symbolic experience from nervous system overload. If your heart races, hands go cold, vision narrows, that's the body's alarm. Return to the somatic feel, your feet on the floor, find 3 green objects, touch the anchor. Dosage more isn't better. Sometimes holding a small image for 90 seconds works better than 15 minutes of analysis. Symbolic hygiene after the ritual, don't dive straight into social media. Leave 10 quiet minutes like fresh sown soil. Community atemenos isn't only a desk corner, it's people who can witness each other. In the comments, share 1 image that came to you and 1 small gesture you'll do in the next 24 hours. Reply to someone else with a single line, I saw your image, safe travels. Together we make a network of small candles. Which candle will you light for someone today? What if no image comes? Borrow the 5 elemental symbols to get started. Stone, steady, water flow. Fire, warmth, wind, clarity, earth holding. Choose one and let it arrive as sensation. Some days you only hear the wind in your ear canal, that's enough. Don't measure by dramatic stories. Measure by softer shoulders and a clearer, smaller intention. Which element wants to sit with you right now? Every true descent ends with an ascent. Closing matters, say, done, sip water. Step onto the balcony, look at the horizon. You return to life not with a bag of tricks, but with a companion image. It feels less lonely. And strangely, when we learn to go down consciously, we also learn to stand upright naturally. What companion image might walk beside you this week? If this spoke to you, stay with us. In part 3, we'll enter a shared treasury. Dreams, the recurring patterns of falling, being chased, standing on stage, why they're not random, how to read them without imposing, and how to turn 1 dream detail into a small step in your day. Night is not an enemy, it's a teacher. and the teacher may be waiting for you tonight. When night falls and the city quiets, your mind slips through a door. Daylight rarely notices. Dreams move like messengers without passports, speaking a language both foreign and intimate, the language of images. Jung called dreams the natural speech of the unconscious. They don't arrive to frighten us, but to compensate for what we've ignored by day. If you've tried to control everything, night will teach you to fall. If you've smiled to keep the peace, night will invite the forgotten part to speak. Here we practice not thinking right, but listening right through symbol breath and the courage to sit with the unknown. Let's begin with 3 common dreams. Falling, you wake with a racing heart. No ground underfoot, an image of letting the ego loosen its grip and trusting gravity, the pull of real life. Being chased, shadow is catching up. What the ego pushed aside wants to return, not to punish, but to restore locked away energy. Naked on stage, persona cracks, asking, who am I when I'm no longer performing? Always remember, dreams are multivalent. Your first meaning is personal associations, memories, body feelings, before we look at collective motifs. What in you is asking to be seen? A simple way to work is READS. Remember, on waking, don't touch your phone. Whisper 1-2 key images. Emotion, name the main feeling. Fear, shame, relief. Association. Jot your first 3 associations unfiltered. Dynamic, and notice the movement. Do I flee, freeze, or turn to face? Step, choose one small 24-hour action that honors the symbol. Dreams come alive, not by right interpretation, but by turning images into gestures, a flower placed on the table, a complete sentence in the meeting, 5 minutes of silence before email. What micro action would honor last night's image? Everyday scenes, 3 portraits. Chicago, a young manager dreams of an elevator dropping. By day, she micromanages. Meetings are taught as strings. With reads, she names panic, links it to her mantra, don't let things fall. The dream's dynamic shifts from gripping to letting drop. Her step, reserve 3 uninterrupted minutes for team proposals, naming it a non-judgment zone. A week later, she dreams of taking the stairs, still descending, but with rhythm. Control softens into trusting the group's shared structure. Where might you trade gripping for a measured step? Miami, a mother dreams of waves spilling into the house with seaweed and children's toys. She wakes exhausted, assuming disaster. Listening closer, the waves smell of salt and orange, childhood on the coast. Association, I used to swim. It's been 7 years. Dynamic, the waves don't destroy. They return what was hers. Step, schedule a 20-minute weekend swim and tell her child, I need 10 minutes for me. I'll be right back. A month later, a flat, calm surface with a single float symbol, cooled because the need was met. What would your 20 minutes look like this week? San Francisco, a developer dreams of a locked room, a small key under the rug. He usually skips small details as unsophisticated. This time he kneels to see the key. Association, an old USB with an original prototype. Step, check it. Inside is a simpler approach. The dream doesn't promise rescue by gods. It points the way through a humble act. Notice the small thing. What small key have you been stepping over? Dream hygiene helps memory return. Keep a notebook by your bed or record 30 seconds of voice on waking. Before sleep, plant a seed. Tonight, show me an image of what I need to integrate. On waking, don't tax the dream with analysis. Write in the present tense, I walk on cold sand, to keep it alive. Circle through personal associations before any symbol dictionary. Avoid intellectual tyranny. Your snake might be constricted life energy, not the enemy from someone else's book. How could you make your bedside a welcome mat for images? One more pivot, discern symbol from nervous system overload. If after a dream you feel woozy, tunnel vision, cold hands racing, heart return to the body, feet on the floor. Name 3 blue objects, drink water, touch an anchor object. If you have recurring nightmares, trauma flashbacks, or self-harm thoughts, bring in a qualified clinician. This video is not treatment. Safety is wisdom, not weakness. Then there's synchronicity, meaningful coincidence. After the stair dream, a station wall reads, take the next step. Think of synchronicity as life underlining the word night already wrote. Note these alongside the dream, not to mystify everything, but to learn a living dialogue with reality. What underline has life given you lately? Community is an extended temenos. In the comments, share one striking dream image and one small step you'll take in the next 24 hours. When you reply to others, don't interpret. Simply witness with "I saw your image." Witnessing softens shame, the shrinker of dreams, and when shame melts, symbols bloom. What image will you let us witness today? If I don't dream you do, you're just not remembering. Dim life by 10% before bed, warm light, no screens, a few journal lines, a quiet thank you. Place a dream-inviting object on the nightstand, a stone feather sea photo like a letter to the night. In a few weeks, memory seeps back. Don't force, invite. What makes dreams trustworthy is not that they're right for others, but that they're right enough to make you live even a little differently. You stop interrupting. You swim again, you open the old USB. The world doesn't turn into heaven. It becomes related to you. Ego learns new arts to make room without vanishing, to listen without surrendering. What one behavior will you shift by 5% tomorrow? From here, a bridge appears. If dreams are letters, who's the inner letter carrier? In Jung's language, often the animus, the orienting, protective current in the psyche, shadowed it judges, clarified it guards boundaries. In part 4, we'll meet this guest turning the inner critic into an inner guardian, negotiating boundaries without hardening the heart, and laying tracks for a life with direction. What kind of guardian do you need at your gate? If this awakened an image in you, share it. If it suggested one small gesture today, make it. Sharing and acting are how scattered candles become one steady line of light to walk by in the night. Picture a translucent man standing just behind you. Not a stranger, but your animus. The inner masculine principle that orients you, sets boundaries and guards the flame of purpose. In shadow, he becomes the inner critic, steel cold whispering, "Not enough, not yet, don't you dare." In maturity, he becomes the inner guardian, steady, clear, quiet, and able to say, "That's enough." Overthinking is the critic on the throne, logos usurping eros. Healing is the coronation rite, inviting the guardian to step forward and restore order in the inner temple. What role is he playing in you today? In your private myth, the animus often arrives as symbol, a sword placed point down instead of raised a compass, a broad-shouldered gatekeeper with gentle eyes. The task isn't to defeat the critic, but to negotiate his proper rank, shifting from the dark animus, judgmental, rigid, talking over feeling, to the bright animus orientation, boundaries, escorting emotions without severing life's flow. Which symbol shows up for you? A blade at rest, a compass, a watchman? Try a brief transformation rite called ANICHOSOR, anchor. Touch a physical anchor ring/bracelet, breathe. 4-6-8, sit upright. Name whisper inner guardian, please step forward. Character notice his form, bodyguard, night driver, firefighter, teacher. Note 3 details, clothing stance, eyes here. Let the critic speak for 60 seconds without interruption. Write it verbatim. Offer ask. If the goal is protection, not humiliation. How would you say this differently? Rank hand to chest. From now on, the guardian speaks before the critic. Close the rite, blow out a candle, or ring a small bell. What changes in your body when you re-rank the voices? This isn't luxury work, it fits right inside a hurried Wednesday. Seattle, 11:58 p.m. You're drafting a reply to your boss. The critic hisses, "Send now or they'll judge you." Call the guardian a calm night driver, hands soft on the wheel. He says safety first, speed second. Your draft becomes, "I'll send the full version at 9:00 a.m. Here are 2 bullets, so you're in the loop." The critic soothes anxiety with speed. The guardian lowers anxiety with structure and timing. Where could structure serve you better than speed tonight? Austin dating life, you need to say no. The critic growls. If you refuse, they'll leave, and it'll be your fault. The guardian steps up like a gatekeeper, broad shoulders. Few words and hands you a one-line boundary. Thanks for the invite, I'm resting tonight. Let's do next week. Short, clean, no apologizing. Paradoxically, eros warms when boundaries exist. Without them, connection withers under hidden resentment. What one-line boundary will you practice this week? New York, a young director crushed by perfectionism. The critic in black clutching a storyboard. If this flops, you're done. In Anchor, the guardian arrives as a carpenter, rough canvas shirt, calloused hands, caned eyes. First workbench, a deliberately bad 15-minute draft. Logos isn't dethroned, it's given the right job. Could a bad on purpose draft free you to begin? To make this chapter thick and usable, hold 4 distinctions. Patriarchal introject versus true animus. Not every hard voice is the guardian. Introjects internalize cultural or family lines, often cosplay as him. A real man, woman must. The elite always. The guardian doesn't shame or compare. He speaks in structure. 5 minutes, 1 task calendar, tomorrow. 9 hazard row and boundary. We stop here. Which voice are you following? Shame or structure? Healthy anger versus aggression. Anger is protective energy when something precious is trespassed. Aggression is anger plus compacted shame sprayed outward. The guardian alchemizes anger into boundary behavior. Please let me finish my sentence before you respond. No threats, no over-apologizing. Where could you turn heat into a sentence? Early overcorrection signs. If you feel a thrill humiliating someone after saying no, that's the critic in a guardian mask. If after a boundary you feel warmer, lighter, your breath deepens, that's the real guardian. What does your body report after you draw a line? Ritual hygiene and safety. Always close the right breath, touch the anchor, say complete, especially after touching pain. If flashbacks or self-harm thoughts appear, stop, walk, hydrate, and contact a professional. This is not therapy, it's an art of living. What closing ritual helps you come back to now? Give your guardian the right tools, a 3-tier boundary kit. Tier 1, pausing. Give me 30 seconds to clarify. I'll reply in 2 hours. Tier 2, framing. My aim today is A. With the time left, I can do B. I can't do C. Tier 3, closing. I'm ending here to protect quality. If needed, let's book another slot. Print them as wallet cards. Logos benefits less panic with scripts. Eros benefits clear talk, fewer grudges. Which tier will you try first? Field scenes. Chicago Zoom. The host cuts you off a 3rd time. The critic urges, swallow it, then send a long email. The guardian taps your shoulder. Please give me 1 uninterrupted minute. 3 points. 1 sentence, 1 minute enough. Camera off, exhale. That exhale is a compass needle pointing true. Phoenix family texts. A relative asks last minute again. The guardian offers, I want to help, but I'm full today. If you need next week, please ask earlier. You fear being called selfish. Instead, you receive respect. San Jose startup. Your co-founder loves all-nighters. The critic mutters, just endure. The guardian sets the rules of play. No replies after 9 p.m. unless urgent. Adding a 20-minute Tuesday sync. Less burn, more progress. Boston dating. Mixed signals. The guardian hands you a reality check line. I like you and I'd like to see each other weekly. Does that work for you? If vagueness repeats, he escorts you to a dignified step back. Don't forget the body is the guardian's ally. When the critic rises, shoulders creep, jaw clamps, eyes narrow. When the guardian arrives, weight drops into your heels, jaw poised softens, gaze widens. Before any boundary try, the 2-degree drop, let shoulders sink 2 lengths. Lower your gaze by 2 degrees. Small shift, big difference. Logos listens. Eros doesn't freeze. What's your body's tell today? Community is the outer watchtower. In the comments, write 1 boundary sentence you'll use this week in 1 context meetings text family. Reply to someone with, your sentence is clear, stand steady. We don't judge. We practice boundaries without turning the heart to stone. Some days the critic still wins. It's okay. Hand to anchor whisper. See you in the morning, their guardian 9:00 a.m. In kind consistency, the animus matures. The sword stops slashing air and becomes a milepost. You'll hear a new pulse in your days, quiet self-respect that needs no adornment. Which milepost are you placing tonight? From here, a bridge appears to part 5. Once the guardian stands in his rightful place, Logos and Eros can pledge themselves clear reason, shaking hands with warm relatedness. We'll learn to hold the tension of opposites without turning ego-self conflict into a bright current that lights the lamp you call your life. If you want to walk on, carry 1 boundary sentence today, like a match, so when night falls, you can strike a small flame and keep going. Imagine Logos and Eros as 2 instruments that haven't played together in ages. A razor-bright violin drawing clean lines and a warm, resonant cello carrying what words can't say. When overthinking takes over, the violin solos itself to exhaustion. When feelings spill without form, the cello sinks into lament. Individuation, the journey of becoming yourself, doesn't demand you pick one and exile the other. It invites a sacred marriage between clarity and connection, between logos frame, structure definition, and eros bond warmth life. Holding the tension of opposites isn't torture, it's standing on the inner bridge so current can pass through and light the lamp you call your life. Each day offers two callings. Logos says, organize, measure, decide. Eros whispers, touch, listen, belong. When one is pushed to the margins, anxiety will try to rebalance you with dreams, anger, or burnout. So we practice a small, structured ritual. The BRIDE to step onto that inner span. Breathe 3 rounds of 4-6-8. Relate. Write 1 honest want for logos and 1 for eros. Image, invite a mediating symbol, a bridge, a candle, a glass of water. Do 1 5 to 15-minute act honoring both. Guard 1 boundary to prevent overflow. Evaluate, check bodily indicators. Softer shoulders, deeper breath. If yes, you're on the bridge. Every day, illustration number 1. Denver office, a report is due to. Logos, while your team needs conflict listening on eros. Relate, draft done by 3 p.m. and everyone gets 10 minutes to speak. Image, a halved hourglass. Do block 45 minutes of deep work, a 12-minute listening round, 2 minutes each, no debate. Guard notifications off for 45 minutes. After 12 minutes, schedule part 2. Evaluate, if shoulders drop and brow softens, you hit the bridge. You didn't save the world, you saved the rhythm. Everyday illustration, the number 2. Portland relationship, your partner wants. Depth eros, and you've just come home exhausted. Logos needs recovery. Relate. I need 20 minutes to recharge, and I want to really hear you. Image, a teapot that must rest off boil. Do 20-minute hot shower plus 30 minutes. Phone-free talk. So Jung, guard, set a timer. If drift happens, return with. We have 10 minutes left. What's the heart of it? Evaluate, if pulse slows and your partner's eyes soften, the bridge is working. Everyday illustration, number 3. Minneapolis creativity. You're writing a script. Logos demand structure. Eros craves play. Relate 1-page outline in 5 minutes unedited freedom. Image, a stage with 2 spotlights. Do 5 minutes of free write to warm eros, 20 minutes of outline to frame with logos. Guard no editing during free write. No new ideas after the 20-minute outline block. Evaluate, if your breathing evens out and the words move, you found the duet. Where we often stumble is relate. We're not honest about what we want. Logos secretly wants to be praised as efficient, and eros wants to be touched without being fixed. Let the shadow speak, envy, fear of abandonment, the wish to be seen. Unconfessed, the bridge cracks in the middle. Jung's voice invites symbolic confession, not I'm weak, but I'm carrying a shivering child. I'll hold their hand for 5 minutes, then we'll work. 1 eros-rich pause can make logos less ruthless and more effective. To keep this practical use, a tension of opposites meter 0 to 10. 0 is one-sided logos eros. 10 is tearing. Aim for 5-7, charge enough to spark, not rip. Each evening, jot your number and what helped you return to mid-bridge. Avoid spiritual bypass symbols aren't excuses to dodge real conversations. If an apology is needed, apologize. If you must book a doctor, book it. A mandala doesn't replace a calendar. Work in season, some weeks privilege. Logos deadlines, others replenish eros recovery. Pre-plan your seasons so you don't turn on yourself. Signs of progress. A small decisions come faster. B, conflicts end sooner with warmer aftertaste. C, fewer chase dreams, more companions and guides appear. A common pitfall is logos wearing eros's coat. I feel a language that's actually a verdict. I feel you're irresponsible. The guardian step nudges, name it cleanly. Instead of attacking, name the need. I need confirmation by 5 p.m. to plan my work. Logos frames, eros keeps the bond alive. Community is the bridge in the outer world. In the comments, name 1 pair of opposites you're holding: work, family, speed, depth, achievement, care, and 1 bar IGE. Move you'll try in 24 hours. Witness someone else with a simple line, I see your bridge, may you stand steady in the middle. Many small bridges linked together become a road. How do I know I'm holding the tension right and not burning out? Your body will answer. When it's right, the breath lengthens, shoulders lower, eyes soften. Your voice drops half a tone. When it's wrong, the brow knits on its own, the jaw clenches. Words run long but empty. Let the body cast the final vote. If it sounds the alarm, cold hands narrowed, eyes lower. The bridge pause, the symbol eat sleep, get sun. And if symptoms are severe or persistent, invite a professional ally. This is not therapy. It's a structured way of living. At some point, the final exam will knock, an old person returns, or a new face with the same old script, now dressed in spiritual language or pretty accountability. Don't read the robe, read the rhythm. You don't need to prosecute their flaws. Just listen with your body. If it opens, breath deepens, eyes brighten, note it. If it contracts, neck stiffens, vision dulls, note it. The body doesn't lie, let it vote first. If you slip, return to the breath. No exam has only one submission. As sovereignty grows flesh, a gentleness arrives, the ease of someone who needn't prove they're kind or strong. You can say no and still love. You can leave without hate. You begin attracting your frequency, low drama, on time, warmly direct. Empath is no longer a sacrificial role. It's a refined sense placed in service of the self. The narcissist stops being the enemy and becomes the strict teacher who showed you where a line must be drawn bold. The lesson ends when you stop re-enrolling in the old class. Sometimes the symbol of Kani visits square logos over circle eros, red with white sun meeting moon, and right there lies a fresh perfection trap. From now on, I'll always be balanced. Jung would smile, balance is a sway, not a straight line. You'll lean and then return like a tide. What matters isn't never leaning, it's returning quickly and kindly. Before we close, try a 5-minute marriage practice now. Close your eyes, 30 seconds, and name 2 pulls. E.g., finish the task and call my mom. Invite a third image, a small bridge across a narrow ditch. Write 1 double-act set, a 25-minute focus block, then a 10-minute call. Set the guard notifications off for 25 minutes. Tell your mom I have 10 minutes. When you're done, mark it with a gesture, snuff a candle, or set down your pen. If your shoulders drop and your heart warms half a degree, you just heard the duet. And leave 1 line to anchor the week ahead. Next week, what will I protect? Write something small. Sleep lunch. 30 minutes of reading 1. No in a meeting. The ordinary done steadily is what saves a soul from the storm. As we come together to this bend in the river, look back at the path we've walked from the Tower of Reason. Where overthinking plays solo, we learn to descend safely, to think in symbols, to listen to dreams, to invite the animus, to soften from judge into a kind gatekeeper, and to build a bridge between Logos and Eros. No miracle fell from the sky, only small, steady, structured gestures. And that is the real miracle of a life. If there's one truth to carry from this video, it's this: the door opens downward, and you already hold the key. Let's close with a simple week-long ritual, a single thread that ties what we learned into a usable circle. Sunday, dream a seed, place a notebook by your pillow, and write. Tonight, give me an image I need to integrate. In the morning note, 2 details and 1 feeling. Monday, soft boundary. Choose 1 boundary sentence for the day. Give me 30 seconds to clarify, and at night, mark whether you said it. Tuesday, 15-minute descent. A tiny temenos, breathe 4, 6, 8. Invite 1 image, ask, what are you protecting? Then choose 1 micro behavior for the next 24 hours. Wednesday, the double bridge, write 2 desires. Logos, eros. Invite a third image and choose 1 15-minute action that honors both. Thursday, synchronicity. Notice 1 sign in a line of text, a song, a color that underlines what the night sent. Friday, community witnessing, read 3 comments. Leave 1 witnessing line, I saw your image. Saturday, body debrief. Are your shoulders lower, your breath longer? If overloaded, lower the bridge, sleep early. Find sun, ask for professional help when needed. This video doesn't replace therapy. It's a structured way of living you practice each day. To keep the closing alive in memory, tuck 3 anchors into your heart. A sentence: you don't have to know everything, only to be present within your boundaries. An image: a small candle in a dark hallway. It doesn't banish the night, but it lights the next step. A gesture: 3 rounds of 4, 6, 8 breathing before any major decision. To keep the journey from scattering, choose small commitments instead of grand vows. In the comments, write, one symbol you'll carry this week, a staircase, a key, a teapot. 2. One tiny step in the next 24 hours, send one boundary text. Do a messy 15-minute draft, free write for 3 minutes, or call a loved one for 10. When you see another person's note, don't explain it. Simply witness, I saw your symbol, walk safely. We are not playing teacher, we're building a communal Temenos quiet lights in a row becoming a path. Let this video live longer in you. Try it, a 7-day challenge linked in your description/notes. 1. 5 15-minute practice each day. On the weekend, score your stress polarity scale, 0 to 10. Aim for 5, 7, tense enough to generate energy, not tear. Keep pocket-sized boundary cards. 3 lines. Stop, frame, close. Signs of progress quicker. Small decisions, less shame-colored. Anger. Fewer chase dreams and more companionship, a guide, a gentle animal. If flashbacks or self-harm thoughts appear, don't keep descending, sleep, eat, and contact a professional. Courage isn't forcing yourself. Courage is lowering the bridge at the right time. Soft warning lights to watch for late-night notifications. Idealizing the past, lowering boundaries. To keep the peace, accusing yourself of being too much or quietly drifting from friends. When you notice it, pause and name it. Do the 4-6 breath. Write 3 lines. Take 1 loop around the block. Don't indict, return to rhythm. A gentle invitation before we part, share 3 things below. A 1 sign of recovery you just touched. I slept 6 hours straight. B. 1 boundary you'll voice this week. If I'm interrupted, I'll end the conversation. C. The symbol you choose for this path, name or emoji. Writing it doesn't just anchor you, it lays a small log on our common fire so someone in another city can warm their hands. If this video touched you, subscribe and hit the bell. Not to chase every clip, but so that when you need a steady rhythm, you know the way back. Before goodbye, a palm-sized ritual light as a hand over your heart, clear as a chalk line. Stand tall, breathe out long, and say these 3 lines in your own voice. 1. I acknowledge my sadness and my longing, and I choose a steady rhythm. 2. In the next 24 hours, I will say 1 sacred number 3. Today I will tend 1 quadrant of the mandala, body, heart, mind, or soul. These 3 short lines are a doorway. Beyond it, there are no fireworks. Only a garden you can tend each day. Add 1 more thread to knit us together. Today I will build a bridge between Aba and Ayang. Fill the blanks with your tug of opposites, efficient and gentle, fast and deep work and rest, and we'll drop a tiny symbol to remind you that you don't walk alone. In old traditions, people mark their foreheads with ash to remember our fragility. Today you need only an anchor object, a ring, a pen, a small stone. When anxiety becomes a fierce guard, touch the anchor and whisper, the ritual is closed. Then do the next thing, small but real. A deep life isn't built by grand jolts. It's woven from breaths, bridges, and candles. See you in the next video, where we broaden the map with the archetypes of kinship and creativity, and learn to let light pass through us without snuffing out the night, for the night is half of life. Take this last talisman for your pocket, a dark field after rain. Far off stands the old castle, the place where you once kept night watch for promises that never came. You turn away carrying nothing but the warmth in your chest. No need to prove, no need to explain. Each step is a point of light. The road appears beneath the feet of the one who dares to walk. And in that quiet, a whisper rises, not from me, not from anyone else, but from the deepest part of you. I choose the steady rhythm. If that line warms your heart by half a degree, write it below as the seal of a soul returned home. Next time, we'll take on a subtle turn, dialoguing with the shadow through active imagination, and crowning at the Queen/Huntress, 2 archetypes that will hold your boundaries with warmth, not ice. We'll also open a minimalist 30, 60, 90-day dating map so your heart can re-enter the world without losing its rhythm. If you want that, type circle in the comments so I know you're walking with me. Thank you for traveling this far. If you ever doubt you're small, remember you went through an underworld and brought back language for the quiet parts of your life. That's not a noisy feat. That's a true dawn. See you in the next video when we light another flame, not to burn, but to warm.